and talks. And this is where it all happens. So come join the conversation. Download the Fox Local app for free on your phone or TV. I'm Ron Hoon. George Obie joins us this morning. He is one of our experts who's been following the latest twists and turns in the Lori Daybell case. Is it really possible that we could see Lori Daybell enter a courtroom in a whole new trial? This is after her request, which went to the judge just a little earlier this week. So, everybody, thanks for starting your day with us. We're going to get right to it right now. George, where do we stand on this request? I mean, does it sit around for a while now, or how quickly do we think it might be acted upon for a new trial?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. They have acted fairly quickly in the previous request for a new trial. I would suspect that if we don't get a decision by late this afternoon or tomorrow, first thing Monday, because we have already gotten details this morning about sentencing for both cases. That'll happen on the 25th of July. Mm-hmm. We have been told also there'll be a 5-minute delay on the stream of that. And then
on the sentencing.
On the sentencing, yes, for both cases.
Okay.
So I would suspect us to hear a decision on her filing within the next few days. And then it's just a matter of, are there any other procedural stuff they'll need to do before the 25th?
So now that we know this request has been filed, is it, again, she acts as her own attorney. We'll see how that plays out. Would there be any chance that the other members of her defense team would be part of that, would actually speak to the judge? Or is it simply going to be Lori Daybell standing there for a couple of minutes in front of the judge?
If that, and that may not even be, it may be something that's kind of ruled on and then sent to her. But ideally, no, she represents herself in this entirety. So it would be her back in court if so be it. Boreski would be the one to rule, and then
Boreski will rule.
Yeah, for now. I mean, it's he's moving on. See, we've touched on this too. He's moving on to a different court, beginning of July. We also have to keep in mind we have a holiday next week, so that is throwing a wrench into plans for a lot of people down at the court. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But I would suspect this to be a pretty quick ruling. Again, has been the case in these other filings that she's put on, in this, at least in this second trial.
Well, we do know that she is. There was one previous. You'll have to remind me, but there was one previous request for, was it a mistrial or something along those lines, where the other judge did step in. Just for the almost going overboard for the appearance of propriety.
Right. Well, we had the first trial after it ended. There was something a juror said that I think was, at least in Lori's eyes, questionable about whether the juror knew of any of her prior convictions before they decided on the verdict. This second trial, we haven't had any issues regarding the jury up until this point. And, again, they ruled on all of these pretty quickly. She did make a few, she made mention of a few things in this latest filing. So that may, it may complicate the decision from the judge.
Really?
We'll
now,
see.
What are those?
Well, one would be 14th Amendment. She made, a number of things related to the Constitution, but the 14th Amendment due process, there were, if you remember jury selection, she got sick. Everything had to kind of stop while she was ill. She claims she was brought to court while still sick. She was ordered by any means necessary on several occasions to show up. So I think she kind of made it clear that she felt like she was being brought in to court on her trial when she wasn't feeling 100%. So that was the first thing. There was a Fourth Amendment complaint that she had about hospital staff that may have gone above and beyond violating HIPAA law when they tried to determine how sick she was. So little nuances in this case, or in this filing related to this case, that I think may make this ruling drawn out more so. But again, 25th of July, she's still slated to get sentenced, and I don't see that changing.
Okay, so here we go into the chat. For those of you who are just hopping on board as our audience kind of grows around the world, you can jump into the YouTube chat box if you're watching on YouTube, and you can ask George. I mean, George and our reporter Justin Lum have been all over this case literally for years, and I just think there's nothing they can't answer. But here's Sherry, Nevada Pup, who says, I wonder if the judge's decision to move onto another court has anything to do with her or with this. I mean, he is moving on. He does have his judicial life doesn't revolve around Lori Daybell.
No, this is common. This is normal. Judges move periodically. This was already predetermined, and they knew this when they were beginning to schedule the first trial. That and he made it clear in court. Look, 1st of July, a lot of us are kind of moving around, so we need to get both of these trials done before the end of June, and sure enough, they did.
Okay, so let me ask you another question here, which is from Ethan D., who jumps into the chat to say, is there any actual proof that she was ill, other than the fact that she did get a prescription, right, from a doctor for some antibiotics?
Well, no, she was definitely given ibuprofen at certain points. I don't know how much proof there was that she was ill, other than I think staff had noticed that she was not feeling well. Her investigator, this was in the filing yesterday, her investigator was also ill at the time. It's possible that, they could have gotten each other sick.
Okay.
She went into great detail, and I'll spare you the details, but about her illness and how sick she really was.
Yeah.
I would think if she was faking it, it would have been noticed. But we heard her that first day didn't sound like herself. So she was, battling something during that jury selection, those few days there where we had to take a break.
Okay. So when it comes to, I know there are people who are out there who, for example, I see some comments, she's just in it for the attention. I mean, have you heard people say, look, she's just kind of milking the system. We already know that she's got multiple life sentences coming out of Idaho and the deaths of her children. Is there a kind of a general feeling like she has taken advantage of this system?
I think that's a fair assessment. Again, outside looking in, and as we've mentioned before, those of us who have covered this saga for as long as we have, you tend to pick up on things from Lori. And one of them is she does crave attention. A lot of that attention is geared towards her beliefs and things that she believes, whether it's religion or what she believes about the accusations against her. She's never been shy about, expressing those feelings, and doing so in a court setting like this isn't a surprise. I think this is her way of trying to, and we saw this during the trial, make several attempts to show people that she thinks she's a good person, and she wants others to think that as well. But as we know,
it's almost a PR campaign.
Yes. And as we know, your actions speak louder than your words. So for her, this may be an attention-seeking moment. She's certainly been milking it a little bit. But again, this is all part of the due process. She has every right to represent herself or have representation for her to defend herself in court. So.
Hey, you guys, 1966. Welcome aboard, one of our new chatters in the chat box, with this following question. What would be the maximum sentence she could get if found guilty of conspiracy? That's a great question. I mean, when you really think about it, she already knows where she'll be for the rest of her life. But just in terms of this case, for example, if any of those other cases were to be tossed out on appeal, and then, there are still these cases that are important in Arizona. What do we know about that, though? A max sentence on a conspiracy case?
I think the max for her would probably be 25, maybe life. The aggravating factors and all of this, I think more so in the first case, the conspiracy case on Charles. Brandon obviously survived the attack. So ultimately, at her age, 52, she just turned 52 today. For those that are following this, today is her birthday. So even 25 years to life, you're looking at, if she wasn't going back to Idaho, she would ultimately spend the rest of her life in prison here.
Well, George Obie, one of the great producers in the Fox 10 newsroom, we always appreciate your insights. It'll just be, we should have an answer within the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I would say certainly before the holiday.
Okay.
Because again, I think you have a lot of people that were going to leave town next week, and I'm guessing they want to get this dealt with. So either by the end of this week or Monday, I would suspect.
Okay.
Yeah.
George, thank you.
Thanks.
On to another story that we are following for you this morning, and Syleste joins us well. This is an unbelievable story of a fugitive from the law who was hiding out for more than 30 years. This is a guy, his name Daniel Brewster. You saw an old photo of him there. He reportedly was found after 33 years on the run, hiding out, Syleste, in, of all places, Ukraine.
Yeah, this is a wild story.
Isn't it wild? Okay, so he skipped out. He had a trial. Let's see. This was a molestation trial that went back all the way back to 1992. He had his trial date, and he doesn't show up for it. And over the course of many years, he's basically the trail had gone cold. He is a former teacher and a daycare owner. And so the case went forward. He was convicted in absentia of 15 molestation counts. This is out of the Tucson area, Pima County. And I can't wait to get the backstory, Syleste, as to how they ultimately tracked him down.
Yeah, no kidding. They must have been hot on his trail for a little bit. I mean, at some point, maybe behind the scenes, because to track him down on the other side of the world,
right?
Yeah, that's this good investigative work.
And you take a look at the pictures when they brought him in. I'm sure you had to be take extra steps of caution to make sure. You never know when a guy's hiding out from the law. You think, well, he probably thought, I'm getting away with it. It's already been 30 years. I'm never going to get caught. And then one day he does. But you never know if there'll be a violent reaction.
That's so true. And I think a lot of fugitives, you think, okay, well, maybe they go up to north of the border into Canada or south of the border into Mexico.
Right.
But it's rare that you hear of someone traveling this far.
Well, and Ukraine, of all places,
right.
That's been under bombardment and under direct threat now for the war for years.
Right.
And maybe he just thought he could almost kind of hide in plain sight.
Crazy.
Who knows, right?
It's crazy.
Okay, so for everybody watching for the first time, if you're wondering what it is you're seeing, I'm Ron Hoon. This is Syleste Rodriguez.
Hello.
And every day we do a streaming show for you with all the big, most interesting stories of the day,
yes.
From what we call hard news to the softer stuff. But we also take a break right now every morning to look at a mystery cam from somewhere. Give us your guess. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Here it is, a quarter after, and we always go with the mystery cam right about this time every day. Celeste, do we get any guesses yet?
We do.
Okay.
We have Ethan D says Washington, maybe.
Oh,
Husky Mom, Minnesota.
yeah.
We've got a Jens Wall with a Missouri.
Oh.
So what are you thinking, Ron? What do you think?
At first, I thought Illinois.
Okay.
Or, as some occasionally will pronounce it, Illinois.
Illinois.
And so, but then now I see too many high rises over there to the left.
So what do you think about Minnesota? B. Miguel said Minnesota.
See, I don't think that's Minneapolis. You really only have two mega cities there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you hear about Duluth, but they probably have like one high rise. I don't think that's Minneapolis or St. Paul. So I'm going to stick somewhere in the Midwest. I guess if it's not Illinois, I'm talking myself out of Illinois. Listen to me. I guess I'll go Texas.
You're going to go Texas on that one.
Okay,
Wow.
how about you?
I'm going to go Illinois. I'm going to go Illinois.
I did talk you into it. All right, let's see what we get here.
Okay, let's see. Here's the mystery cam.
Mhm.
And it's Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, is it?
Oh, hold on. We were just chatting about Grand Rapids and how
Yes.
great of a city it was. Well, didn't you
Yeah.
tell me? It's like
Yeah.
actually really cool.
Well, I'm such a nerd when it comes to history that I actually believe that what we're looking at there might just be, I don't think so. Anyway, the Gerald Ford Museum is there, and I cannot stop in a town without going to a presidential museum or library or whatever, and it's super cool. I mean, Gerald Ford, actually, I'll just tell you, was really instrumental back in the 1970s. In terms of, what was going on with the presidency. Richard Nixon had resigned. Ford got elevated, but he was never elected to office because the actual VP was a guy named Spiro Agnew who resigned in disgrace. There's a whole historical drama to it, and it's worth going there and spending a little bit of time. We have, ladies and gentlemen, a guest for you. Hang on.
Big D.
Oh, you know what that's called? That was a crass attempt for higher ratings.
Well, they're coming.
We just put Dave on the Dave cam. This is the button I was trying to punch. Yeah, it's Andy Mack. Those of you who watch live now from Fox are already familiar with Andy, but welcome aboard to our humble little streaming studio here,
Hey, Andy.
Hey,
Welcome.
Thank you. I thought you were going with the other special guest. I have a second tier.
Did you
in
have
terms
a guess on the mystery camera? Were you thinking something?
I was thinking like Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Oh,
that, but I knew it was
okay.
too many high rises. But Western Michigan, super
Yes.
nice.
Yeah,
right.
so
Love Grand
pretty.
Rapids.
So
yeah,
pretty.
So it was,
Okay.
I was off. I was off just like you guys.
By the way, you're a sports fan. Let me
Yep.
get your take right now. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we have Phoenix's #1 sportscaster,
Yep.
Richard Sines, joining us live to talk about what the Suns did last night. What's your take on it?
I think it was an interesting fact that they lost Durant. They traded away. What they were going to do was going to be a blueprint for the future, what was looking
Yes.
forward. They got 2 7-footers in a matter of time.
Sure.
They still have to figure out the money with Bradley Beal, with Devin Booker, but I like what they got. The kid out of Duke, the center, he's a big guy. He's obviously got a big personality. So I like what they did, and it's just you set the tone for the future. They give up a first rounder a few years down the road.
Yeah.
They expect to be good a
Right.
few years down the road, so that pick hopefully not too high. So I think it was good in terms of understanding where they're at in this current moment and where they hope to be in a couple of years. So I like where they did.
You heard all these big names, when KD was here, and you thought, what's going on? Like, why can't they make something happen? You think it was too many cooks in the kitchen? Like they had too many superstars that couldn't figure out how to make it work?
They didn't have enough balls to go around. It was just
Yeah.
like everyone needed the ball. Everyone needed to score.
Right.
KD now kind of passing on. It was fun to see him in Phoenix, but
So true.
obviously going to Houston, that could set up well for them. They were the #2 seed this year in the playoffs, so they're going to regroup. Phoenix, I don't
Yeah.
have any.
I don't want to get on his bad side, but I
KD's
do feel
bad
like
side.
he's more in the twilight of his career. KD, I think maybe has a couple, 3 more years.
Correct,
Maybe.
and
How
I mean-
old is he again?
I think is he 37?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
About there? Yeah.
He's still kind of in.
Anyway.
He's in his prime as a bachelor.
Yeah, he's coming
know
out
what?
of
But
Let's
Twilight,
do
but
this.
One of the greatest scores of all time.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
hard
for
to pass
sure.
up.
And it was an honor having him here. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
and get Jalen Green back in town is going to be good for
Yeah, there you
Phoenix
go.
too.
All right, so 5 o'clock in the morning, there was a news conference this morning, at least our time.
Correct.
8 o'clock back on the East Coast. And we wanted to get your take on it. But first, what we'll do is roll some of the highlights. So you had General Kane there for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. You had Pete Hegseth with the DOD. He is still really fired up about this one reporter
yes.
that somebody leaked information to, and then, it looks like everybody in the media kind of picked it up and started running with it, questioning if very much damage was done at all, maybe just a few months, and they're back on a nuclear program. Well, here's what got said in this news conference just a little bit earlier this morning. Check this out.
President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history. And it was a resounding success, resulting in a ceasefire agreement and the end of the 12-day war. There's been a lot of discussion about what happened and what didn't happen. Step back for a second. Because of decisive military action, President Trump created the conditions to end the war, decimating, choose your word, obliterating, destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities.
Now, what you're looking at right here is a demonstration of how the bunker buster works. This was General Kane when he was up there. Watch this real closely. They freeze it for like a half a second before this is, it's a two-pronged approach where first they have the, maybe you would call it the entry bomb that gets in there, and then the second one is the one. And so they thought, this is previous testing so that people understand, hey, you're looking at the top of the mountain. Why doesn't it show like a huge hole in the ground? Well, there's an example. It's way more of a precision hit. And by the way, the Iranians, in the days leading up to it, thought maybe what the Americans are going to do if they do bomb us is try to go down that shaft, that ventilation shaft. They put concrete over it. So just really interesting that they were up there. Basically, Andy, this has been a full court press from the president straight on down.
Yeah, and it's wild to think that this is less than a week ago, the Operation Midnight Hammer. And it's interesting that we looked into what happened on Saturday leading up to this event, but also kind of the reports coming out. And like I mentioned, it's only been less than a week, and we have that Defense Intelligence Agency coming back saying it's only really set the Iranians back in terms of their nuclear program for months. Of course, they talked about it. Hegseth said there, whatever word you want to choose in terms of how much damage it set them back, either obliterated, decimated, a monumental damage. It's just a matter of that. It was just interesting to look into that. And we're only a week out. So they're pushing back on the fact that, hey, we don't know a ton of things. They admitted that there are gaps in this information, and you can imagine why.
What about that line of his? You really want an answer? You better go over there with a great big shovel.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's 300 feet in the ground. I spoke
Yeah.
to a B-2 pilot that used to pilot those planes, and it was just impressive to see that, like, he said it was what we saw on some of those before and afters was what you might expect just because it was so far into the ground. And I know there's a lot of reporting about the trucks coming in and out. The Iranians, they put caps on it. So were they prepared for this? How much damage did it actually sustain? So there's a lot into it.
I think there was a lot of speculation, right, after the initial bombing. Yeah. Did it work? Did it not work? Yeah. How does it work? And so I think it was important for them to do this,
Correct.
To do like the show and tell thing. And honestly, I don't even know if anybody else really knows how this whole thing works except for the generals, And so I think they had to do something like this. And I thought it was a good explainer.
Yeah, it was good. They've been working on this for some 15 years. This is the first time they've ever actually used this GBU 57 bomb in warfare, in actual action. That was just a test. So this is the actual first time they've used it. So there's a lot of different components to what's going on and the success, quote unquote,
Right.
success of what happened.
I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, a nice round of applause for his first appearance here
lot of
Andy.
on the stream.
Lot of pressure.
Andy Mack, straight out of the University
Can we just
of
say
Colorado.
he's a great follow on Instagram too. Andy, super cool guy. What's your handle on IG?
It's Andy Mack. My name is Andy McDonald, so
Yeah.
I'm all found there.
Love
Twitter,
it.
all the stuff. So we're all about it.
Thank you,
great to
buddy.
have
Thanks
you.
for having
Oh,
me.
hey, by the way, we do want to update you on the poll question this morning. Grab the QR code. Coming up in just a few minutes, we will go to Dave with your comments. So both here and on YouTube, get those comments in right now. What do you think after Iran declared victory over Israel? That's after Israel gained apparently full control over nearly all Iranian airspace, and the U.S. got those bombers in there to drop them right on those nuclear sites. Now Iran says it's been a big victory for them. 52% say, I do think you can deal with them as long as it's with President Trump. He'll make sure they stick to it. Your other options here, Celeste, 30% say maybe for a while, but they'll try to break it eventually, and 18% don't even try. Don't even talk. They can't be trusted.
Yeah, I think those are good. We're getting plenty of responses as well, Ron.
Yes.
And many of you are kind of chiming in our chat box as well. So thank you for watching. If you're new to the chat this morning, please let us know where you are watching from. We have Brandy the Bookworm, Lil Philosophy, Frankie D said thanks to Andy. Wisdom Intensity chiming in this morning.
Yeah, some new folks today.
That's right.
It's
That's
really been
right.
great.
Good morning.
Hey, by the way, we hope you're not from this one part of Florida that got hit yesterday, Celeste. Did you see? You got to watch this doorbell camera. This is
Oh.
unbelievable. Watch this now. Tornado. Look, there's the neighbor's house. There goes a roof. And then that one house, like in The
Oh,
Wizard
no.
of Oz, is literally picked right up off of its foundation. Isn't this incredible?
This is in
video?
Florida?
Yeah, let me
What
give
city?
you this was in the city of Largo, and the video showed the damage as the twister was coming in. The crews and neighbors, this was a couple days ago. Here it is one more time if you're just now kind of glancing at it. Yeah, there's the aftermath after one roof line got ripped off. And there it is swirling in the background. Of course, you see something like that coming. You're hoping it's just not going to quite, because it can be so hopscotch in nature.
Absolutely. It almost looks like one of those microbursts that we see here during the monsoon in
That's
the
a good
valley.
point, yeah.
Because you don't see the funnel, and maybe it's off to the left where you see it's a little bit darker.
Yep.
But wow, look at that. Then the wind just picks up and takes that thing.
All right, now, that's what they've been dealing with over the last 24 to 48 hours. Here in the Valley of the Sun, this is what we are looking like. Another really nice day today, 106, no problem there. A little bit, let me pop that up one more time. That is the fact that, Celeste, we now think there's a possible chance of rain over 4th of July weekend. Bring those temps back down.
I know. Look at that 104 on the 4th. Goodness. It's going to be great.
Okay, so here's a look out over our beautiful city. Oh, hang on.
That's a nice
coming
city,
up a
too.
little bit later. I know where that one is. Hang on. It's going to be right here. There we are, and we'll be back after this. There we go. Ooh. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hey, everybody, it's Ron and Celeste.
Hi.
And I love that angle. By the way, that camera, believe it or not, is all the way over in Tempe, Arizona. For those of you who are watching in different parts of the world, and you're looking at the ever-growing skyline of downtown Phoenix. In fact, if that camera were to go further over to the right, which would be to the north, you would just see building after building. People want to live in downtown Phoenix, Celeste.
They do. Brandy the Bookworm in the chat said, I've heard that we will probably break into the 123 degree for multiple days in a row this summer.
What?
I sure hope not. That would be the only time that people would not want to be here in Phoenix.
Can you ask her where she heard that? Because
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that yet.
Yeah,
we don't want that.
No, 123, that would be breaking some serious records.
Well, the all-time was here right in late June, back in the year 1990, and we've never broken 122, and we hope we never do in our lifetime.
Yes. In
So-
anybody's lifetime, for that matter.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we do definitely appreciate all of our new viewers. Let's update you on the poll question. By the way, let me do this. I'm going to update you on the YouTube version of the poll question because 13% are saying, I think a deal can be done, but only if Donald Trump is on it, and then he makes sure they stick to it. 36% say maybe for a while, but they'll try to break it. And then 51% on YouTube say don't even try. They can't be trusted. Look at that. Big Dave doing the update
Big Dave.
live. That just added 100 votes. Let's see where we are now. Pretty much
Oh.
about the same. About 50% saying don't even try. They can't be trusted. And speaking of Dave, this is the other poll question we're watching. This one is shifted a little bit, but right now close to 50% saying they still trust the president to not only get a deal, but to hold Iran's feet to the fire. So Dave is here and available to us
Hi,
now
Dave.
on the Dave Cam.
Dave.
There you go. That's your proper introduction. One more time, Celeste.
It's like that guttural thing.
Big D.
Big D. Dave, what are you seeing for comments today?
Tons of great comments, as always, very insightful. Derek Adams says, no country will ever be able to make deals with countries who do not want peace. The Middle East has always been at war and will always be at war within itself. RLS Vid says, let them declare whatever they want as long as they stop fighting each other and potentially the rest of the world. Don't they have better things to do? Weather Watch More 381 says, Iran really has a lot of ego and pride if they declare victory. If anything, they're on the losing side of things, and if it's to make them look good in front of the people who likely hate them, it takes a special kind of petty or pride to declare victory because you refuse to let yourself look bad. Like, show a little humility. And finally, I am Mona M. says, the one that was negotiated while Obama was in the office was very verifiable. Trump decided to pull the United States out of that multinational agreement because it was negotiated while Obama was the president. I doubt that Iran will negotiate in good faith with a man like Donald Trump. It would have no reason to do so. The trade agreements with Canada and Mexico that he pulled us out of upon returning to office were renegotiated by his administration. Every country who must now deal with the United States knows that we were no longer a dependable national nation. Perhaps when Trump is gone, we can restore the national credibility. Even then, it will take a long, long time to accomplish. So amazing comments, guys.
Love them.
Great.
Love them, Dave.
Very
Yeah.
thoughtful.
Yeah, keep them coming,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay. Just to preview, 2 minutes away, the Valley's #1 sportscaster is going to break down two big stories.
Yes.
The new face for the Suns
Mhm.
and this whole Cattell Marte story coming out of Chicago
know.
that is
It's
sick.
heartbreaking. It really
it's
is.
just sick.
Well, and that guy,
Yeah.
the fan was banned from ballparks.
Yeah.
Everyone for life.
I love it.
From the MLB.
MLB. Oh, that was for life.
For life.
Wow, good.
Yeah, he was
he
banned.
should never be allowed at
By
any
the way, Ron,
sporting-
June 26th, this day,
Yes.
1990, 122.
Yeah, I saw that Linda jumped in and said, yeah, today's the
Yes.
day. Hard to believe that was 35 years ago.
Wild.
My memory was walking across the parking lot of a restaurant up there at about 7th Street in Missouri and almost feeling my nostrils burn as I walked across the pavement.
Were you barefoot?
Are you kidding, Celeste? If so, my feet would still be stuck to the gooey
It
pavement.
felt like walking on coals, you know.
But there were times that summer you almost felt like you could feel the heat through your shoes.
Yeah, well, that's
that
when
crazy?
people started cooking eggs on the sidewalk, and that type of stuff
right,
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, couple of quick stories, and then here comes Richard, everybody. But we start with this one, which I think is going to be exciting for a lot of folks. They are planning freeways now in the valley. If you have moved here from somewhere else, like a city like, I don't know, a Seattle or a San Francisco or an LA, where they just don't keep up with it. They pretend that people are not moving there, and they have the same beat-up freeways from the 70s.
Yeah.
We don't do it like that.
Get with it.
Get with it. That's our approach. So they have a bunch of plans here, ADOT with their 20-year plan. We're going to talk to them in the coming days and get way more in depth on all this, Celeste. But they are talking about a whole new interchange between the 17 and the 303 out there in the West Valley. And they're also talking about completing the State Route 24 in the East Valley. Now, listen, ADOT, I hope you're watching. Thank you for doing that, because there's a bunch of stoplights. But you have so much traffic that filters down to one lane when the 24 ends and you get on the 202
Yes.
out there by the Gateway Airport.
Right.
Sometimes that backs up for
4 miles.
Yeah.
5 miles.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
It's unbelievable. So get that part figured out too. You have to have at least 3 lanes coming from the 24 onto the 202.
Yep, exactly.
Just telling you now, because I drive out through that area all the time. And then did you see what we just had on the screen there? This is so cool. The whole new freeway that nobody's even heard of yet. Here's the map. They just came out with it. So it's going to start way out in Buckeye. It's going to be called the SR 30. It's going to roll down there south of Goodyear and Avondale and Tolleson, and it will connect with the 17 at the Broadway curve. And you don't even have to come onto the 10, which can be a real mess.
I think it's a Durango curve is where it will connect
did
with
I
the
say
17.
Broadway?
Yeah.
Durango. Correct.
curve at I-17. But this is spectacular. Think of all those communities and cities, Ron, down
Yep.
Levine,
Yeah.
down, south the lower Buckeye, Avondale, Tolleson, down south. All those communities are finally going to have, and maybe they'll finally get a Costco along one of those freeways.
There you go. By the way, do you have a favorite curve? I am more of a Broadway curve guy than a Durango curve. We probably have more curves than that.
I don't know. I guess I'm more of a Hohokam Expressway 143
Sure you are.
type of gal.
The world's shortest freeway. Yeah,
Yes.
the 2-mile freeway. Hey.
I wasn't sure where you were going with favorite curve, Ron. When you say that as a man, I don't know what direction you're moving.
All right, let's talk to the man himself. I'm so excited that we have this available for everybody. First, let me get him properly introduced. There he is, everybody. We love it when we get Richard on the morning shift here for Fox 10 Talks. Richard Signs, he covers it all for us, Celeste. And Richard, tell me in your own words what you think about what the Suns did last night, especially with that number 1 draft pick. Oh, hang on. I got to call you up. There he is. Okay.
Hey,
Take it away,
Richard.
buddy. What's that?
Oh, hold on. We got to get you out.
I think I got you now. There we go. No, I don't know. Are you on mute again?
Well, you sure look good.
All right. Did we test ahead of time here? Give us a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, how about this? Thumbs up or thumbs down? It was a good move by the Suns. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're still having a hard time hearing Richard. Let me just pop him up in this other Zoom box right here. This has a chance for Celeste tonight to also be on camera with him. So
Thank you, Ron, for
his
that.
name is Kaman Maluach, I believe. And he's a Dookie. He's a Blue Devil, and they were truly one of the great college basketball teams of a generation. Let me try it one last time here.
How tall is he again? Is he the one that's 7 feet tall?
Yeah. Correct. All right, let's try it. Richard, you got us?
Look at that pocket square.
I love it. Oh, that's great.
Okay. Well, Richard, thumbs up or thumbs down? Are you excited about the Suns' decisions here that they made?
Oh,
We
hang
lost
on.
him.
Yeah, we got to be able to actually hear him. This is a streaming show, ladies and gentlemen. I have to remind people every day. We are not perfect. That's for sure. Let's just
7 feet
see
2
here.
inches
Let's
tall.
go back
what
to
size shoe does this
Richard.
young man wear?
Oh, wait, look at
Oh,
this.
he's got a wingspan.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
That is crazy. Do you know what size shoe he wears, Richard? Okay, so he's got to wear maybe at least, I don't know, somebody who's 6'5". Oh, 20? Size 20 in shoe, probably. Yeah, that's what Richard was giving me.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Okay, Richard, how's your mom doing, by the way? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Can we say hello to your mama? Because she's a devout Fox 10 viewer.
Oh, great.
And she's a big fan of the show.
She
watches
so you
the
got her
morning
on board
show.
the Fox 10 Talks train?
Well, if she's not there now,
Yeah.
oh, Richard's saying yes. She's probably here.
Good. All right. So let's just see here, Richard. We did pop up some graphic information about him. I'm going to pop one more up here. And if we're working on it. We're working on getting your mic. But holy cow. The White Sox put on the big board yesterday at the game, the White Sox community supports Ketel Marte. There was some low-class individual who was harassing him while he was out there, basically like chanting something about the fact that his mother had died in a car crash years ago.
It was so unthoughtful and just distasteful.
Yeah. So you're right, Celeste. They banned him from every single MLB park. Let me see what else we came up with here in terms of some of our other graphics. So baseball is family. The White Sox community supports Ketel Marte. And I'll tell you one thing. I can't wait to see what happens at the ballpark when the team comes back from this road trip. There's a movement now for people over the course of the weekend to show up and wear pink. It's not that she died of breast cancer. She died in a car accident.
Yeah.
But the whole movement is basically simply to show support for Ketel Marte.
And I think that banner said it perfectly, that baseball is family and we have to support him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that fan? I think he was remorseful, one of the reports I read this morning.
Yeah.
But it's like once you do something like that in such a public atmosphere,
yeah.
I don't know if there's any going back. And the MLB said, nuh-uh, sorry, there's no going back here.
All right, time for a break. And there's another beautiful shot across the USA. I look at that one and I think Boston. Anyway, we will be right back here on Fox 10 Talks.
low? Can you boost it more or no?
It'll just be like a louder room noise.
Okay, but that's the only thing we can do?
Hey, everybody, welcome back. One last go, everybody, because, oh, wait, no,
Big
I hit the Zoom camera and Big D pops up.
We got cameras everywhere
for
in this
goodness
place.
sakes.
This has been a fun morning.
Yeah.
Isabella is here, by the way,
Yeah.
and many of you, I think you could hear
Hi.
us on YouTube.
Well, we tried.
Our mics were hot.
Yes.
And yes, Isabella is here, so it's good to have you.
Good to
by the
Good
way,
to have you here, sister.
Isabella, if you had to pick one team that you just love to follow them in college or pro sports, what would it be?
I think you already know what the answer is, Ron.
Is it the Huskies?
Yes.
Really?
Husky basketball.
Because your mom, was it your mom that went to UW?
Mhm.
Okay. So
And
Celeste had
grandpa
a
and auntie and whole fam.
yeah, Celeste had a story today that those of us who are like super duper fans,
Yes.
our brains are wired just a little bit differently, Celeste.
Uh-huh.
So I pull up this picture
Aw,
from
good
so
photo.
my wife Renee and me and my son Jordan and a couple of our grandkids, Ava Jane and Mason. And that picture was taken about 1 minute after we beat the Oregon Ducks in 2023. Michael Penix versus Bo Nix, maybe the greatest game ever played at Husky Stadium.
What a good
But,
game.
I mean, I'm already excited for the upcoming season. It's almost ridiculous.
So what excites you the most? Is it
the opportunity to pull off an upset. We have a 3-year winning streak at Husky Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
We just never lose up
Now
there.
the QBs last year were who?
Damon Williams,
Uh-huh.
he's from Basha High School.
Oh, from here.
And I'm just telling you, by the end of the year, you're going to hear Heisman talk
wow.
about Damon Williams.
I wonder who his QB coach was.
Huh?
I wonder who his QB coach was here.
Yeah.
We for all of you on YouTube, I've learned this as a football mom. We create a lot of like winning QBs here.
Yes, we
There's something
do.
about like you have Dan Minucci and Donovan McNabb. You have all these people who live here and who train these young athletes. It's pretty amazing.
Speaking of young athletes, there it is. Look at
I-
the young athletes in your family. This is you guys going to a Sun Devil game.
Yeah, I know. It was a few years ago, but that's our son Kai up top. We're a big Sun Devil family. My husband went to ASU, played for ASU, and then our daughter Kiana in the middle there, and then Kalina down at the bottom. I was trying to find a photo with all of us in it
Mm-hmm.
So
because
cute.
yeah, we love the ASU games.
All right. By the way, Richard still hasn't said bye-bye yet, so we just, you guys, I am punching up the Zoom button, and I am getting that. But anyway, Richard, can you hear us now?
I can hear you guys, and we're not going to quit. These colors don't run.
Yeah. No, I know that for sure. Do you mind telling us when you grew up as a kid who you were a super fan of? I'm sure there was one team.
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up in San Antonio, but I was a big Dr. J fan. He was one of my favorite players of all time.
The
And I
Sixers.
loved Michael Jordan as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had a lot of great, I was a big boxing fan. I was a big Sugar Ray Leonard fan. And, when it comes to that pick, I want to talk about Tomlin Malawach, the 7-foot center from Duke.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you get to draft the best player available, and it fills a need at the same time. And that's exactly what happened to the Suns last night.
Yeah, look at this. I'm going to pop up that picture of him one more time so people know what that's on graphics for, so people know who we're talking about. Just this whole idea of the 2 7-footers, Richard. This is going to be a whole new look Suns team.
Yeah, because they went and made a trade with that 29th pick. They traded to Charlotte for Mark Williams. But I'm not sure how that's going to develop. That could lead to another trade. He's another 7-foot center, also out of Duke. He's familiar with Tomlin Malawach. He could be a mentor of some sort, but he also could be part of a trade that goes down today or maybe later in the week or in the offseason, because Bradley Beal is still on the trading block for the Phoenix Suns. So they're still several moves away.
All right, Richard, we appreciate your time, buddy. Next time we're just going to call you, even if you have to go to a phone booth. We will figure it out.
I love hearing, but I just want to see his face. He's just a friendly dude.
He's so great.
He's
but
so
you know
great.
who else is?
Isabella.
Isabella.
You're getting
All right.
lots of love in the chat box, by the
Thanks,
way.
chat.
Everybody's like, hi.
Let's talk about this, you guys.
you.
United is coming out with a new feature on its app that will give you a countdown clock
Okay.
to how
Ooh.
soon your flight is boarding and then the gate is closing.
That's actually a really good idea.
Really
I
useful.
think it is, but it could add stress. I'm just saying, if you parked and you're waiting, for the SkyTrain, and then you got to get through to you, and you're looking,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm running a little tight here. The gate's closing in 8 minutes. Will I make it?
Right.
Your stress level goes up.
Maybe,
What about
but if you're waiting at the gate to board the plane,
that?
and maybe
then you're golden.
and then you're like, oh, hold on, I'm going to go use a restroom real quick.
How much
Yeah.
time do
How
I
much
have
time
left?
do you have left?
Yeah.
Now,
before you're
the
gonna board?
interesting thing is that they say in the app, there's also a feature that if you missed your flight,
Okay.
they'll give you your rebooking options,
Oh.
probably at only another $100 or
Mm.
$200 to get on the next flight.
Well, you can't yell at your phone, so it's like I think they're trying to save the airline attendants who are
Celeste,
at the
that's
front desk.
Have
From
you
just the
ever been in a
stress.
situations, either one of you guys, where you've been like you've cut it down to the last minute kind of, or even missed a flight?
Go ahead,
Thankfully,
Isabella.
I
Yeah.
have never missed a flight, but I
Wow.
have came close a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Celeste, how about you?
I've got a great story.
Okay.
When America West Airlines was a thing
Yeah.
up in Boise, it was my first gig, and I had Tuesday, Wednesdays off.
Okay.
And I was rushing off of work on Monday to make a flight to come back to Phoenix
Yeah.
to see my family.
Yeah.
I get to and she's like, "You're going to miss this flight. It leaves in like 30 minutes." And so I'm paying for I had this buddy pass that my parents, remember those?
Yeah.
My parents' neighbors gave them to me. And so I was using a buddy pass, and it was like $100 for a round trip flight. I'm there, and the woman was so nice at America West. She's like, "You know what? I watch Idaho's News Channel 7, and I know that you just came off the air."
Aw.
Yeah.
She said, "Give me your card. I'm going to pay for your flight. Here is a pass to get through security.
Wow.
And I will meet you upstairs at the gate with your credit card and with your boarding ticket."
Oh my.
And so she did. She was so sweet. And then she gave me boarding passes so that
So
buddy passes so
sweet.
that I could fly home more often on the cheap.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Above and
That-
beyond. Do you remember her name?
Oh no, I
Yeah.
don't. But I think I had kept her name in like my Bible that I had way back then in
good for
Boise.
you.
And so I think if I still have that Bible, so I
Okay.
probably could find it.
I'm going to blow your guys'
That's
minds
so
here.
sweet.
America West
Uh-huh.
eventually became U.S. Air,
Yes.
and then it now became American Airlines.
Uh-huh.
And so, if you can believe this, they told me that for years and years, the flight attendants who were there when the airline launched back in
Yes.
1982, which was my first year here,
Wow.
they said, you keep popping up in our training videos because you were at Sky Harbor Airport the very first day an America West plane flew
Oh my goodness.
in and out of Sky
Wow.
Harbor. It was just a little tiny little podunk airline
We should
at the time.
We should see if they have it in their, in
Archives?
their, and bring it back and put it on the air for YouTube viewers.
I bet you we have it in our archives.
we might.
Because I think that airline started August 1st, 1982.
Wow.
It's popping into my head. I could be way off. But we'll have to go to work on that.
Yeah,
and
we
see if
will.
we can find
That's
that.
a great story.
Yeah.
Good topic.
Yeah. Speaking of topics, you guys,
Mm-hmm.
the Razor scooter people are celebrating. Hold on, I got this
Are
video for us right
celebrating.
here. Look at there's an old ad from Razor
Oh,
from
my.
way back in the day. I don't know. This almost looks like film before video. But 25 years ago, today, the Razor was unveiled. Now, did you guys, Celeste, do you have, or Isabella, any memories of your early childhood of riding your first bike or riding your first scooter or
I do.
like a motorcycle or anything?
I actually did get a Razor. It was like a pink red Razor, and
Okay.
it looked just like the ones in the commercials, except there wasn't two on the back. It was just one. It was a single. And I tried so hard to ride it well, but every time I got off, I'd jump off, and it would just hit me really hard in the ankles. It,
Oh.
like,
Oh, no. Right in
always
the
hurt
ankle?
my
Metal.
ankle bone.
Oh,
Yeah, and it
man.
was metal. It was thin. It was kind of sharp. It
Sure.
kind of scratched me up.
Did you
so-
cry?
No.
Okay, look at that.
Because it's
That's the
okay.
bottom line.
We're
She
okay with-
didn't cry.
No.
Just so everybody knows, we're okay with crying on this show.
Well, how about you, Celeste?
No, Ron, we didn't have the money for a razor. My mom was like, go to the playground and play in the monkey bars.
What about a bicycle? Did you get a bike?
I did get a bicycle.
Okay.
And I used to love to ride that.
I
Aw,
think back to when I
sweet.
got my first motorcycle.
Oh, like a crotch rocket or like a
It was
Harley?
a Honda Trail 70.
Okay.
And the only problem was that it was about 4 blocks.
Thank you, Isabella.
Thank you,
Bye.
Isabella. It was about 4 blocks from my house to the trails up into the mountains above.
So this is a
Wenatchee.
dirt bike.
Well, Trail 70, you can have it on the streets
Yeah,
also.
I had a little YZ80
Yeah.
when I got older.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, so continue on.
So my dad said, you know what? If you have to go across this orchard,
Yeah.
this
Oh.
old timer's orchard.
Okay.
He said, why don't you go knock on his door and real politely ask him if you can ride across his land to get up to Castle Rock Mountain.
Okay.
He said yes.
Oh.
And I did it all the
Oh,
time.
how fun.
For like the next 2 or 3 years.
Oh my
it was
goodness.
so fun. Anyway, all right, before we toss it over to Anita, our final video of the day is the bear that got the silver tooth.
Oh my
Don't you wish
goodness.
when you went to the dentist, Celeste, that you were knocked out like this guy? He is in La La Land.
So the bear had a grill? Are you
Oh,
kidding
look,
me?
there's the world's largest silver tooth. That's in a bear's mouth.
Oh my gosh! Who's the rapper? Is it Flava Flav that has all the
The
you know
gold
the
teeth.
gold
Yeah,
teeth? I
okay.
think he's gonna be jealous.
I think of Ocho Cinco too, Chad Johnson.
That's right.
The one-time football star.
Uh-huh.
He had an impressive grill. But man, the ladies, when he gets back into the pen or whatever,
Yeah.
the lady bears,
They're gonna be
are
all
gonna
over him.
Very attracted. to
Yeah,
him.
well, look
He's
at-
like, don't show me when I'm passed out. Just show me when I got my grill.
I don't look barely right now, manly. I don't look barely.
Hey, look who joins us now.
Hi.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Hey, Anita.
Okay, so no cell phones in class. Big debate.
Yeah.
So we have a reporter coming in to Lauren Clark to chat about
Good.
the latest school district that said, no more.
Okay.
And then we put up a survey, and it's very interesting to see what people thought. Freedom Fest, 4th of July coming up at the Princess. We're going to talk about a big party.
Okay.
And then we have Helen Purcell coming in.
Really?
And
Oh, we love
I
Helen.
I know, right?
Yeah.
How is she doing? It's been a while.
She looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I bet she does.
She's talking about the Homeless ID Project,
Oh.
which helps people who don't have a place to live get an ID, get back in the groove.
like work and get a job.
Correct, because you
and
can't
find
get a job without
place.
an ID.
Yeah.
And there's such a need for that. So
Well,
we're going to be chatting about that.
I am the fanboy
I know.
of Helen.
she
I
is
gotta
so
stick
great.
around just to
Wait
say
until
hi
you
to her.
see her.
Oh, I love it. It's
Yeah.
all coming up on YouTube.
Thanks for.
it's not. It's Thursday. No. Let's not go backwards.
Wow.
Let's not
well,
go
then
backwards,
that makes it
please.
a really good day.
Yeah.
Because
We've got
we're
Lauren.
one day closer to Friday.
That's true.
And we
We've got-
have Lauren again.
Lauren, you have been kind of all over all these big stories, so we keep bringing you in. This latest one's kind of interesting, and it's kind of, I guess, getting some split reaction depending on who you ask. We're talking about cell phones in the classroom. And some of these school districts, I think it was last year, kind of started to implement this, basically saying it's a big distraction. Teachers don't like having the kids in there because obviously this is such a huge distraction. We as adults are distracted by the cell phone.
I think it's a distraction for adults. Lauren and I were talking about this in the parking lot when I told her, hey, you're on the stream. I said, it's so easy to just pick up your phone and scroll or check emails or get on social media.
Absolutely.
It's just a bad habit. My mom does it all the time. I'm like, Mom, put the phone down. Put the phone down and engage.
I have timers on my phone to
Oh,
make
you
sure
do?
I don't
Oh.
get stuck in an
Yeah.
Instagram, rabbit hole or anything like that.
So
But I
how
think
long-
kids, it's even
Yeah.
worse. It's kind of like
Oh,
you
yeah.
get stuck on there, and then they're doing their snap streaks. You gotta have those
Yep.
Snapchat streaks. You
The
can't lose
TikTok
those.
challenges.
The TikTok challenges. Yeah,
Yes.
I can only imagine being a teenager now
Oh
with
my
more
gosh.
accessibility
Yeah.
to technology in the classroom, and how it really would be a distraction.
Sure. So this latest district now is what? Which district?
Yeah,
and,
so
and
this
what's
is-
this ban?
Yeah, so Gilbert Public Schools has officially, they signed it into their school board, essentially decided to vote on it. And what this does, and GPS was telling me, and I actually am a GPS alum, grew up in the area, went to Desert Ridge High
Gilbert
School.
Public Schools.
Gilbert Public Schools, go Jaguars. And they decided that they were going to make this official. A lot of schools were actually implementing some of these policies, but per a bill that was signed into a law by Governor Katie Hobbs back in April that said school districts, public school districts, charter school districts, you guys have got to have some type of policy surrounding cell phones in the classroom. This is the step towards making sure that that happens. So now it is formal across Gilbert Public Schools. They have two sections of this. The first is K through 8, and the second is high school. So first, K through 8.
Okay.
That is called away for the day. You take your cell phone, it's got to be turned off and stored away in your backpack. You cannot have it for lunch. And by the end of the school day, you can now use your cell phone. High school, no cell, bell to bell. That means during classroom, cell phone again, got to be off, got to be in your backpack. You can use it in between halls and at lunch if you so choose. But that's essentially what the policy is in a nutshell. Now, a lot of people, I'm sure the main question that's in the front of the people's heads, people want to know, what about emergencies?
And folks at home, please chime in. We would love to hear from you. If you have kids, if you have grandkids in the classroom,
Yep.
whether it's a Gilbert School District or really any school district, wherever you are, how do you feel about school districts saying no cell phones? Do you think that they're necessary? A lot of people are saying, Linda, good morning to you. Are they necessary? Is it not necessary? Is it distracting? Would love to get a little bit of feedback from everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Questions
I think
maybe
that's,
for Lauren.
Yeah, would love to answer those as well. And, emergencies is the main question
Yeah.
that people have. God forbid something horrible would happen. What's the situation there? Well, the school district did tell me that in those emergencies, there is an exception. And say a student really needs to get a hold of their parent, they can do so with teacher permission. Likewise, if a parent really needs to get a hold of their student, they can call the front office like they did, several years
Back in
before.
the day when we
Back
were
in
in
the
school.
day,
Yeah.
You'd raise
before
your hand
cell
and then you'd
phones.
walk down into the office and you say, hey, I
Gotta
don't
use the
feel
phone.
well, or my mom's
Yep.
supposed to pick me up, or something like that. We put up a poll yesterday in the newscast, and the question was very simple. Should cell phones be banned in K through 8 classes? Look at this overwhelming response.
84% say yes, we should be banning the cell phones in the classrooms. Lauren, I was going to ask you, because obviously you did the story yesterday. We're kind of talking with some of the folks about this. What were some of the reactions, maybe some from parents, students, whoever you talked to yesterday, about what they think about this?
And really quick, before you answer that, Ethan D says he's at Chandler Unified District, and they are not crazy strict on phones. Any word as to whether Chandler is considering anything like this as
Yeah, well, again, we do have that law, that bill that was signed into a law. So we are going to be seeing a lot of school districts throughout the summer come up with these policies.
And that's what I was going to say. say it's probably going to be pretty soon that we're going to start hearing
Oh, yeah.
some of these other school districts because
Absolutely.
obviously that law is now signed into effect before the school year starts here in a couple of weeks for some
Yeah, so
individuals.
we're certainly not done talking about this
Yeah.
topic. I mean, probably you all at home with your schools, your school districts, you're probably going to be seeing or hearing about these new policies as well to make sure that they're complying here. But, when I was speaking, go back to your question, Ty, to parents, it was truly this overwhelming support. Once they knew that there was that exception for the emergencies, parents of really young children too, they were saying, the phones, they are such a distraction, not only for just like the constant scrolling, but they also create a lot of issues with bullying, a lot of drama situations
And
as a
what, I was
result.
going to ask you that because maybe 5-year-old Ty has a phone, but maybe 5-year-old Anita's parents say, no, you're too young for a phone. But Anita is watching Ty on his phone and wants a phone and wants a phone and wants a phone. And this kind of, I guess, levels the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, and it's so interesting you brought that up, Anita, because I was speaking to one parent at great lengths in Gilbert yesterday, and she was bringing up, and I've read this book as well, a lot of parents were actually reading this book, and I think this is kind of what's getting the ball rolling into this rethinking the cell phone situation that we're seeing nationwide. It's called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, and she also mentioned that idea that you were talking about with, parents, kids don't want to feel left out with the cell phones. And this idea that if you kind of band together, whether that's school districts making a stand or you as a parent with having like a lot of friends and saying, we're not getting them a phone until a certain age, that could be really helpful with the whole cell phone
Brandy
situation.
the bookworm says, I really think kids should have their phones all the time in case something happens, be it in the classroom or anywhere else on campus.
And, that is certainly a reasonable response as well. This is the world that we live in for sure. I think parents also are very used to being able to talk to their student or being able to reach them at just an instant moment.
But if you think back, I mean, like, obviously we didn't grow
have
up.
them.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably a lot younger than we are, but we didn't have cell phones in class, and
Not
we
in
got
kindergarten, no.
no. I mean, I think I got my phone when I first started driving. Is when I got my first cell phone, the Nokia brick.
But it didn't have texting capabilities.
I can't remember. I think mine did,
And
but I don't
it was
think
very
The T9?
expensive.
I
Yeah.
don't know. This was like the brick.
Okay.
Like the
Well,
Nokia with
you're
the,
talking about that. That's what Linda is chiming in. She says, our kids grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, no cell phones. Our youngest got his during his junior, possibly senior year. And you couldn't use it in class. You couldn't even bring that in.
No, you couldn't even have it on your desk.
No, you
because
left it,
you would be
you left it
in your
either
backpack.
in your locker or in the car. But again, I mean, I remember I had one, but it was really expensive and it was emergency only. And really, I think it was like when I was headed out on a Friday night, my dad would be like, you
Here,
can take
the
the
phone
phone
just
with
to make
you
sure
in
everything's good.
case,
Yeah.
because we want to know that everything's okay. So what's the next step?
Yeah. So, we're going to be seeing a lot of these policies again roll out. And I also had some questions about how is this going to be implemented with discipline?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to have a policy, but if it's ignored or if there's no discipline behind it. And Gilbert Public Schools GPS was also kind of telling me, we're going to be hearing a lot more about this in the weeks to come as we're rolling out what that looks like. Is there going to be a warning system for kids, etc. So,
And I bet there's always going to be that one cool teacher that's like, I'm cool with the cell phone.
Yeah.
Hey, we have more comments, so let's go.
Yeah,
let's get
love
through
to hear
those. We
this
still have a few
comments.
more minutes. Dave says, I think cell phones are too controlling. And then Ethan D says, a lot of my peers in high school just end up on their phones all day, and then they do schoolwork at home. Ethan, here's the question then. I'm curious as to, you're in high school, what year you are, but also they just have their phones out on their desk, or how are you not, is there not any interactive learning then with the teachers? And do the teachers get frustrated? Because I know, like, sometimes when I'm talking to Ty, my work husband or my husband at home, and they're on their phone, it's like, hey.
Vice versa, Anita.
Right, I know.
Yeah. I'm like,
hey, are you hearing what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? So, yeah.
And then I was reading some of these school districts, I think it was on the East Coast, like they have to lock them up. Like there's a cabinet where you check in your phone because they know that everybody has a cell phone.
At the start of the day?
At the start of the day, they like lock them in a little cabinet. So I think it just depends on each school district. So you're right, though. I am going to be curious to see kind of how other school districts implement this. And then the big question is going to be how they monitor and kind of patrol it,
Yeah.
I guess.
More comments. Brandy the Bookworm says there should be a happy medium somewhere. I think there should be a mandatory airplane mode during class,
Oh,
but
that's
not
good.
having it is something that would make me worry if my sons were in school still.
Yeah.
Husky Mom, I was in my late 20s before I got a cell phone. I graduated in 1990. Age not given. You're still
We're not
a youngin'.
asking,
You're
Husky
still
Mom.
a youngin' Husky Mom. But I mean, people were able to deal without. But I will
Right.
say, I panic now if I leave the house without my cell
Yeah.
phone.
Oh, yeah.
I turn around and then I'll text my manager Melanie and I'll say,
I had to
running
go
5
back.
minutes late, I had to go back to get the phone, but
Mhm.
that's how we communicate.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And Brandy says, I love that you guys have work spouses who I text all the time, even when we're not at work.
All right. Well, Lauren, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, guys.
And keep us posted on what's happening.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll let you go. We got a next guest coming in.
We do.
We're going to do a quick little switcheroo
Yeah,
here.
we've got video fireworks. I
We
think.
do?
Yeah.
We
I
have
don't know. Do we
fireworks
have
video?
video?
VO3. Look
Bye,
at this.
Lauren.
Ooh.
Okay.
Look at this. This was just sent in. Look at how fun this is. And this is our.
Breaking news just in.
What is it?
4th of July is next Friday.
Can you believe it?
Hi, John.
Hi.
John, nice and close to the mic.
Yeah, get up in there.
I'll get right up.
Oh,
No.
using that
There we go.
radio voice.
Oh, thank you. I knew 4th of July was next week. One, because we've been talking about it at the Princess for
Well, we need to
months.
introduce you. Yeah, John,
Oh,
you work
sorry.
at the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess. You've been on with our show before, AZAM, multiple times. But you guys, every single holiday, you guys, I mean, just go
All
crazy,
out?
all out.
Yeah, thank you for noticing. That's actually kind of what we try to do. When our general manager, Jack Miller, came to the hotel years ago, he kind of wanted to make the Princess Scottsdale's town square. Scottsdale, as we know, is very long and very narrow and a little spread out. And there wasn't a place to gather for big events. So it kind of all started with Christmas at the Princess.
Which
and then
is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
It
And
is.
then it moved into Easter at the Princess, Summer at the Princess, and Freedom Fest.
I will say, because I've covered a lot of these with you, but I took my parents to Christmas at the Princess, and I've taken them to many different holiday events. Number one, you can get affordable tickets because you don't have to do everything. You can simply just go and walk around, which in itself is amazing. The lights are just spectacular, though. It's just such an. I think it creates so many memories, right?
Well, I mean, if you work in the hospitality industry or if you work in sports, you're in the memory making business, right? That's kind of what we
Yeah.
do. And, it's really important for families to have a place to get together and come have fun.
I agree.
All right, we got to hit a hard break
And then
in
you'll stay
15
with
seconds,
us?
but can you stay for another couple
I'd love
minutes
to.
and we're going to
Okay.
talk about what you guys have coming up for
Yeah.
the 4th of July, how
That'd be
people
great.
can get tickets and all the festivities that'll be happening in just a week from now
We'll be right back.
when 4th of July. All right, welcome back. We've got John
Ty
Glenn
just
here.
yelled. Go ahead.
Well, I got to keep you guys on
I
your
know.
toes because everybody's having
He just
conversations
yelled
everywhere.
5 seconds.
I got to keep everybody in line around
5
here.
seconds. We have a question for you. Brandy the Bookworm says, I've heard some hotels let you buy a day pass of sorts just to use the pool. You guys do have that.
We do. We do offer day passes through Resort Pass, not during Freedom Fest, though.
Okay.
But yes, the rest of the summer, we'd love to have you.
Well, John, what I think is so cool is that, when you talk about some of these resorts, they always kind of make it, if you're a paying guest staying at the hotel, do you get to kind of enjoy these amenities? But you guys have really kind of opened the doors, as you mentioned, to the community, which I think is so cool that you can buy a ticket and go enjoy the beautiful grounds that you guys have for all of these different kind of holidays.
Yeah, for lots of our events, you don't need to be an overnight guest. I mean, we are a hotel. We enjoy overnight guests, absolutely. And truly, if, for example, you were talking about Christmas at the Princess. If you're coming for Christmas at the Princess, your best and smoothest experience is to be an overnight guest.
Sure.
But for for a lot of different events, you don't have to be an overnight guest. But for Freedom Fest, you do have to be an
What's
overnight
going to
guest.
happen on Freedom Fest?
So we have, so there's 3 nights of concerts. So July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we'll have concerts each night. Then at 9 o'clock, we have fireworks, and we have the all veterans military
That is so
paratroopers.
cool.
And so these guys jump out of
At
airplanes
night?
at night.
And
And
I just got chills.
and they have, listen, Anita, they have fireworks coming off of them.
No.
They land at
This is on the 4th of July?
3rd, 4th, and 5th.
All
each
3
night.
nights.
All 3 nights.
I don't live far.
Come over.
You could probably see it from your house.
I'm gonna park on the street, which we've done, and just watch.
I don't think we were friends yet then, so you don't have to do that anymore. But these guys are incredible.
Wow.
I mean, they jump out at like 12,000 feet. There's an X on the 5th fairway of TPC, and they jump out. They've got fireworks shooting off of them. They're flying down with American flags, and they land on their feet on the X.
Wow.
It's
The
remarkable.
precision is pretty cool to
It's
see.
incredible.
So, John, give us kind of the nitty gritty. What do people need to know if they want to go enjoy this?
Yeah, so ScottsdalePrincess.com/freedomfest will have all of your information. If you are going to be with your family on the 4th and you need to decompress for like a night on the 5th, I'd encourage you to come Saturday night because the concert is Al Paris and the Heartbreakers, and Al Paris was in Kool and the Gang. And I just one of my favorite Kool and the Gang songs is "Get Down on It." And thank you.
Get down on it.
We're old, and so I
No, it's just a really good song.
I actually just texted the guy who's in charge of all the bands to make sure that "Get Down on It" is on the playlist.
Yeah,
for Saturday
let's
night.
make sure.
So,
It's there.
No promises, but that's a hope.
The request has been made.
A boy can dream.
Yeah, let's see. That'll be cool.
After Freedom Fest, and then a lot of people, we'll get you out of here, but do staycations, and we talked about those. What is the best way to find a really good deal, find those little package deals if people want to come out?
Oh, that's a great question. So if you go to our website, ScottsdalePrincess.com, and you click on offers, there's Arizona residence rates offers. There's offers for if you stay 2 nights, you get X %. 3 nights, you get 30% off of the best available rate. And everywhere in the valley, there's so many great resorts and there's so many great hotels. And we all know that summer rates are really
it's the best
They're
deal
fun.
around.
They're
Yeah.
they are. They're really, really good.
And so it's not as cost prohibitive as many people may think.
Affordable,
And
yeah.
we have all of our summer programming, Wild West Summer at the Princess. So there's activities for kids and families each night. There's all kinds of stuff. So it's
you're fishing.
Fishing derbies. There's pools to swim in. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And we do fireworks every Saturday night.
Brandy the
also.
Bookworm says, I've never been to the Princess, but always want to have a staycation there. Brandy, me too, girl. Me too.
This is the time to look it up.
We're
Try and
open.
go, yeah.
Come by.
I know,
We'd love
I
to
know.
have
And
her.
then I'll head to the spa, which I've never had a spa day. I digress. We'll put
I
all
think
that.
she's dropping hints, isn't she?
No,
Yeah.
Johnny's watching. Johnny's watching. Okay,
I'll
4th of
text
July.
Johnny.
Yeah,
It'll
there you
be-
go.
It'll be a good celebration. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for
John.
having us. I
Thanks
really
for coming
appreciate
in,
it.
and happy 4th of July if we don't see you before then.
For sure.
And if you
Same to
don't,
you guys.
if you don't see it, John
Oh, yeah,
has
hold
fireworks
on. Hold
his
on.
shirt.
Let me zoom into that shirt.
There
Look
we
at
go.
that.
This shirt is for sale at our provision shop.
Oh, you
yeah,
can get
I just
one.
went upstairs and picked it up.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to return it?
No, it's mine now.
But he did get a discount, employee discount. I'm going to get one for my husband. Perfect. Thank
All
you.
right, John, thank
Okay.
you for coming
Yeah, of
in.
course.
We're going to talk
Thanks.
about a little bit more of a serious topic, a nonprofit, though, that does really, really great work. This is called Homeless ID Project.
Yes, and so our next guest, you might recognize her if you've been been here in the Valley for a while. We want to welcome in Helen Purcell. She is on the board of the Homeless ID Project. Helen, good morning. Thanks
Hi,
for hanging out with
Helen.
us.
Good morning.
Yeah, so good to see you.
We mentioned that you might be a familiar face, and that's because you were the Maricopa County Recorder for how many years?
28.
28
Nice
years.
and close for us,
We'll get you
Helen.
right in there.
Thank you, so everyone can hear your beautiful
And now
voice.
you are on the board of this amazing nonprofit organization. Tell us a little bit about what is the Homeless ID Project.
Well, if you think about it, you can't do anything. You can't get a job. You can't apply for housing if you don't have an ID.
You can't drive to that job.
That's right.
You can't travel.
do anything if
Yeah.
you don't have an ID. And we provide a state ID for people who come in. And 9 times out of 10, they want to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And now they want to get someplace to live. So we provide that avenue for them. We have, in the past, we would give them a voucher, get on a bus, and go to an MVD's office. Now we have worked with MVD. They originally had somebody in our office. Now we have an interactive kiosk so that the people can come in
look at you.
and apply it through the kiosk and walk out with a temporary ID, which will come back with the original ID. We have a post office right there on the campus.
Wow.
And they can get that permanent ID and they can go from there.
That opens up so many doors, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. You really can't get any place.
You really can't do anything.
with that
Yeah.
ID.
Helen, let me ask you, if you've ever interacted with the people who you guys help, what do they say about why don't they have IDs? What happens?
Well,
to-
if they're living on the street, 9 times out of 10, they've either lost it, their stuff has been stolen. They had it at one time, they can't find it. Maybe they just got out of incarceration, and their paperwork didn't follow them. We are also working, in fact, as I was on the campus on Tuesday, working with 3 members from the Department of Corrections to try and kind of get a jump on that when those people are being released from incarceration. So we're going to work with DOC and with the Sheriff's Office to try and kind of fill that gap too. So there's any number of reasons that
Why
they
they
lose
don't have it.
And they can get a number of other services on the campus too, which is helpful. There are medical services, dental services. They can get clothing to apply for a job, kind of clean themselves up to get there. You know, there are a number of things.
What do I know when we need an ID? We know what kind of information we need to do. So something that proves our address, or, but obviously, if people don't have a home, don't have an address, that's tough. What do people need?
Well, and they may have to prove their identity,
Right.
which means we would apply for a birth certificate.
Okay.
And either here or we've done to any of the 50 states and some of the territories to get a birth certificate for that person.
And so you help facilitate that as well then?
Absolutely. We order the
Wow.
birth certificate. Some states, there are a few states that don't charge for that, but most of them do, including Arizona. So
And you pick up the charge for that then for them?
absolutely.
Wow.
You know, we are a nonprofit. We don't charge our clients anything, but we welcome donations.
Yeah.
So we can keep this going.
Sure. Helen, can you tell us kind of the backstory? Like, where did this idea, because I think it's genius, because I think there's so many things in life that we take for granted that we don't have to worry about. But this was just such a smart idea. Where did this whole thing kind of, who was the brainchild of this? How did this kind of all come to fruition?
There was a minister who started it, and he saw kind of these homeless people. So he took it upon himself to go out and be with the homeless for 30 days.
Wow.
Act as one of them. So he could see what was going on, and he saw what was happening.
And he got to
he's-
see the needs firsthand.
Absolutely. And I think that's what you have to do. So that's, Arizona is the only state that we know of that has this type of an
Really?
organization.
Wow.
It should spread across the country, and maybe eventually it will. But we need to do something to get these people off the streets.
And that's
And
a good first step. If they're willing
Everybody
to work,
says-
first
they're
step,
willing to
yeah.
make some money, they can afford the rent, hopefully.
Right.
Well,
And everybody says, we need to get them into housing. Well,
Ha-
if they don't have any ID, how do you
Yeah.
get them into housing?
Yeah, it's like a
This is kind of the first step
yeah.
Yes.
of many for
And
them.
that's what we call it.
So
The
how
first
does it-
step to
do you-
ending your homelessness.
Do you guys
Wow.
do the outreach then? Do you have volunteers and staff who go out and approach people and say, what do you need? Do you need that ID? Or do people find their way to you and say, help me get that ID?
A
or
little
both?
bit of both.
Yeah.
Yes, we have people come to the campus and come through the Welcome Center there and get to our office. But we also have outreach services for both our employees. We have very few employees. We have a number of volunteers, and we go out to various areas throughout Maricopa County and do the same thing. In those areas, we have to, again, give them a bus pass so they can get to an MVD office. However, we think in about 2 weeks' time, MVD is going to provide us with a mobile kiosk.
Wow. Really?
Yes. So,
you can just do
that's in the works right now.
You can apply right there, like you can take that out literally onto the streets, so
That's
to speak.
correct. Yeah.
Wow.
And you can approach people and say, "What can I help you with? How can I help you?"
Well, we usually go to one of the organizations that are working with the homeless.
Okay, like a nonprofit or
Yes,
shelter.
that's right.
Okay, St. Vincent de
the-
Paul, for example.
There are a number of yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Helen-
and that's unfortunate that there are a number.
Yes.
We wish we didn't have to have any.
But we all the cities around Maricopa County want to get involved with this, so we try to get involved with them.
That's great.
Helen, what is it like? I mean, you mentioned that you kind of are working with so closely with the MVD, and it seems like they are really helping you guys out. What is that like to kind of have an organization, or I guess a big entity here in the state, kind of being able to help you guys with this?
That's been really, really helpful. Like I said, for years, all we were doing was give them a bus pass and hope
And
they got
hoping
to
they
this.
got there.
And nine times out of 10, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives us the ability to work directly with the client to get them what they need. And MVD has just been a super partner for us. And
We have a
they
question
can,
for you.
Okay.
Ethan D is asking, is there a similar organization in Tucson? And if not, what would you recommend?
We just opened up an office in Tucson.
Look
There
at
you go.
Look
Yes,
at you.
yes, and it's
Wow.
really going great guns.
That's
We have
amazing.
one
Ethan
employee
D.
down there and a number of volunteers again, and so we just opened up down
Where
there.
in Tucson, do you know, or can we look that up? We'll look it up.
I,
We'll look it
I
up.
don't know.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll look it up.
Helen, we've got about a minute left, but you mentioned that you guys are a nonprofit, so
That's correct.
obviously you guys need funding to keep doing what you're
Absolutely.
doing. How can folks at home that are watching right now help you out?
Go to our website, homelessidproject.org or HIDP.org, and there is a donate button on that front page of our website.
Very cool.
And there's also a place where you can volunteer if that's what you'd like
Oh,
to do.
nice. Yeah.
But we need donations desperately. As you might imagine, in bad economic times, you don't get as many donations.
Yeah.
All of the nonprofits right now are suffering
Yeah.
with that. So we really need their help.
Well, our viewers are very generous, so hopefully they help out.
Real quick, Tucson phone number 602-223-3427 is what they're saying to call when you look it up